How's it going, everyone? Caboose here, um, coming at you with a video today on how to play Kapkan. Quite frankly, I don't think most of you guys who are at least watching this really understand how to play Kapkan. Um, here's the reason: there are so many people that say, "Oh, Kapkan's such a brain dead operator. You don't need to, have any skill, etc. You just place down your Kapkans and people die." It's not. That's not true. That is not true. And here is the reason why. In order to play Kapkan effectively, you actually need to have a lot of map knowledge. And there are two ways to play Kapkan. The first way is intelligence gathering. I personally do not prefer this way, but it is a viable way. And I'll explain why I don't think this is the best way to play him when I'm done. But for starters, Kapkan, you need to play him for intelligence gathering. If site's over here, master bedroom and gym, right? You want to set up Kapkans one at a time around kind of the perimeter of the space, right? You're gonna place them in spots where you think the attackers are probably gonna come from, and you're only gonna put one down at a time, right? Maybe you think they're gonna come from over here, so you place one in bathroom, and then you come over here and you place another, let's say, right here. Now, here's the pros to this, right? Here are the pros to this. If you actually remember where you placed all of your Kapkans, you can get excellent sound cues from them. If your teammates are paying attention, they can, or in a position to do something about it. Excuse me, I'm yawning. If your teammates are also in position and can do something about it, they will also have excellent sound cues. Right? And the goal is to spread them out in such a way that no matter where they come from, they have to deal with at least one Kapkan. Right? When you're doing this, you can place them on windows, you can place them on doors, you can place them wherever you want. Personally, I prefer doors. And here's why. Right? When you're on a door, you can place them at foot level. Right? If you place one on a window, oops. If you place one on a window, it is at head level. It becomes way easier to see this. Right? You do have the added protection of the barricade, which is a tip we'll get into at the end. But generally, placing Kapkans at head level versus at foot level, which one's easier to see? Obviously, they're both very easy to see, but let's say you're coming around the corner, which one do you see first? Probably the one on the top. So, that is what playing Kapkan for information looks like. There's a reason I don't like it, though. One, there are sites in the game that do not have as many entries as this, right? And quite frankly, this is one of those sites where there's not 5 ways to enter. So you kind of have to get creative in where you're placing them, right? Let's take another common site here. The way I personally like to play Kapkan is I like to put 2 to 3 on a single door, with some exceptions. So the way you do this, right, is you try and identify common points of entry. Common points of entry and common pathing to the site, right? Each site only has so many ways that you can actually get to it, right? And so when you identify those common pathways, for this site specifically, there are, what, 1, 2, 3 ways of pushing it, essentially. Not too many people are going to push through window over here. You're not going to really have to worry about that too terribly often. The 3 most common ways of pushing are through main breach right here. You'll get the stair push right here if that fails, and it's usually combined with the garage push, or you're pushing from construction, right? Those are really your 3 main ways of doing it. So, what's the easiest and quietest way to get into construction? Well, it's to come up these stairs, like so. Maybe you take out the camera, and then you push in right here, right? Now, if you place 3 here and they're not paying attention because, well, they're doing this, right? They're not seeing it. You'll get a kill every time. The argument for 2 or 3, how likely you think it is that they're going to come through that. So 3 will kill any operator in the game. I think it may down a 3 armor 1 speed, but it will for sure kill a 1 and 2 speed attacker. And you might be killing 3 speeds with it. If they're the last, they will definitely die. So, just depends on how certain you want to be about getting a kill off of this. If you really want to be certain, place 3. And if you're really certain they're going to come through here, place 3. Right? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a kill right here in this doorway with these 3. Right? 2 can work. You'll still get kills sometimes. Usually, though, if it's a 2 speed or if it's 2 armor or 3 armor, they'll probably survive it. Each one, I believe, does, what, 45 damage? And so, you're going to have to learn where those common spots are. And the best way for me to suggest you do that is by analyzing the way you attack each site. How do you attack cache and CCTV yourself? Okay, especially if you're someone who likes to flank. If you like to try and come through the backside while everyone else is going for main breach, how do you attack that? And then how do you shut it down with Kapkans? If you're someone who likes to go on main breach, okay, where do I go when main breach fails? If we can't get main breach because it got bandit tricked or we just couldn't get K'd or whatever, where do you go next? And Kapkan those. Kapkan those lanes, because you'd be surprised how many people think the same way you do. With a finite amount of ways to attack a site, you can Kapkan off quite a few of them. Now, let's say you're doing that, all right? This is, for some reason, your site. No one ever plays this site. It's a terrible site. You should probably never play this site. But let's pretend this is your site. How would you attack this? Well, you're potentially going to come through here. And if you are, bless your soul. But here's the situation. You could be coming from this side. You've got a pretty nasty angle here. You could be coming from this side. You've got a pretty decent angle here. On one side, you're definitely going to see Kapkans on this. On this, you have no idea if anything's here. And same over here, you still have no idea. So if you put let's say 2 Kapkans right here, or 3. Let's say you put 3 Kapkans right there. I don't see them. I have no idea they're there. I have no idea they're there. Maybe you can kind of see them right there. But that leads me into my first trick. I can no longer see those Kapkans. Those Kapkans are well and truly hidden from me until I get this close. And if you're this close, look at how many things can kill you. So you're not spending time looking right there. You're rushing through to try and get into cover. Right? Using barricades, broken down barricades, to hide Kapkans is absolutely viable and should be done for more common spaces where there's a high chance of them being seen. If you have a barricade there, it just shields them a little bit more from being seen and gives them that much more of a fighting chance to actually get someone. Right? But notice there, I looked at it from where the attackers would be, right? And I identified that putting them right here isn't going to be a good idea, because even with the barricade trick, this is something I actually really hate about how Kapkan is. He's really fidgety, right? Even with that, I can still see all of them from outside. 1, 2, 3, right there. Boom, boom, boom. All gone. Waste of Kapkans. Alright? So identifying how attackers will view a door and how they're going to path. Right? If you're going to push through here, this door actually conveniently takes out about half the map. Right? It does. Because that's going to take out all of garage. It's going to take out all of lounge. It's going to take out all of stockroom, CCTV, cache, everything over here. If anyone tries to push through here, it takes away this entire half of the map. Not a bad one. Another good one, personally, people like to push through. How many times do you see someone pushing through a strip club? All the time. And they almost always go one of 2 ways. They either go that way, or if you're upstairs, they go through bathroom. Almost all the time. Identify common attacker pathways. And then place Kapkans accordingly to those common attacker pathways in spots that sightlines are not readily available. They have to deliberately take the time to check. And that will become important because, quite frankly, once you are exposed as Kapkan, people are going to be looking for them. So you need to put them in spots where they really have to look for them. If you're not taking the time to place operators or place Kapkans in spots where people really have to look for them, you're doing yourself a disservice as Kapkan. Right? If I'm here, which way am I going to look? Am I going to look down here? Or am I going to be looking out over this way to make sure that I'm not going to get fried? Right? No. You're not going to be looking right here, generally speaking. Same thing. If you're in cache, this is so obvious and readily available, there's only one reason you would ever put them there. Generally, I'd recommend putting them here. And the same thing over here. If you're going to be pushing through over here, the first thing you see is all of this. Even if you come through the window, you cannot see this side. So you'd put your Kapkans here. Understand the visual space. Now, I've talked about the visuals. Pathing is just as important. Because you have 5 Kapkans, you're putting usually 3 on one door and 2 on another. You really have to be certain about where you're placing them, so that way you can impact the most people, right? For this site, generally, if people are going to spawn over here and do a CC construction push, this is where I'll put them. And the reason being is that it's far enough away from site that they're not expecting. They're not going to check this door, usually. But they will check this one. This one's too close to site. And especially this one. This one is site. They are absolutely going to check this for Kapkans. The further away you can get from site, but still effectively cut off a good portion of the map, the better. The further away from site you can get with your Kapkans, but still effectively cut off common pathing routes to site, the better. Because then, let's say you play this site again, and let's say you got a kill right here, well now you could just back it up one. They're paranoid about this door now, but maybe they ease up. Maybe they ease up by this point. It gives you more doors and room to play with. So, now for the last trick. With the introduction of the gas pipes, one Kapkan, all you need. What ends up happening is this goes off and it blows this thing up. And when this thing gets blown up, it kills them. So you can effectively have 3 Kapkans on a door with just this pipe. All you need is one. All you need is one Kapkan. And it will blow this thing up, and it will kill whoever your target is. Another little trick that I have learned sometimes, if there is a good double door somewhere, I'm not going to have time to show you, but here, sometimes if this were a better location, bear with me, keep this in mind for the end of the round. Sometimes it's worth putting Kapkans on both sides. Sometimes. If you can sacrifice a Kapkan by making it brutally obvious, then it lessens the chance that they're going to check the other side. Alright, so for instance, this door's a good example. I place one here, right? We already know that's brutally obvious. But those two aren't. You're an attacker. Oh, let me just pop that Kapkan. Let me shoot that Kapkan really quick. There must not be another Kapkan on here. It's a common mindset and it's a common mistake. If people see your trap and destroy it, they tend to not think that there's more on there. Another little trip. Sometimes a door, like this one, is better on one side than it is the other. So, we've explained ad nauseum how good this door is if you're pushing from this side and you have your Kapkans down there. But now let's try the other side. Well, for starters, I can see them right there. I'm way back here. I'm in safety. No one's going to be able to capitalize on me shooting these. And then on top of that, I'm over here. I can see that very clearly, and I am in safety. I can see that from this wall if I was still able to open his, if I was still able to open this, right? You can see all of this. So this door is what I would call a one-way door. You only put Kapkans on one side of this door, and it is this side, because it has a natural blind spot to it. The other side, the attackers can see everything around that door from relative safety. Do not put Kapkans there. And that's how you want to analyze every door, regardless of the map. Is there a blind spot? Is this blind spot one way only? And is this a common spot? So the last thing that I'm really going to cover here is when to place Kapkans on a door, right? Again, there is a very limited number of doors and windows that you can put your Kapkans on. And sometimes you're playing with operators like Legion, you're playing with operators like Aruni, um, and your Kapkans will break their stuff. On top of that, if there's already a Legion mine and an Aruni gate on there, why do you need a Kapkan? You don't. So this encourages you to go find other doors. Like maybe Aruni and Legion can have this door covered. You don't have to put anything on it. It frees you up to go further out away from sight to attack common entry points into the map, right? You don't have to do common entry points into sight. You can do common entry points onto the map. One of my favorite spots, at least on Clubhouse, right here. Because anytime there's upstairs, you get that one guy spawning over and shipping, and he runs through here, not even thinking about it, because it's so far from sight. So if you don't need to protect sight with Kapkans, don't protect sight with Kapkans. Windows, generally, not a good idea to put them on. Just generally not. Because they're at head level and they're easily seen. And, I think that is pretty much it. Don't place your Kapkans where they're not needed. Don't place your Kapkans at head level. And make sure you are coming at each site from the perspective of what does the attacker see. When the attacker comes at this, what do they see? How are they going to approach this door? If there's a blind spot or a spot that they generally aren't going to look, place a Kapkan there. And generally speaking, 2 to 3 on a door, not 1. There are better intelligence gathering operators out there than Kapkan. And if you go too far out away from sight, the intelligence is useless anyway. And that is all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Please leave a like, a follow, subscribe, whatever the heck it is on YouTube, and I will see you guys all in the next one.